In this video, I would like to offer a brief reflection on 2 pages from a famous book, The Human Condition, by the Jewish philosopher Hannah Arendt. We will see that, in a passage taken from this work, this philosopher is deeply attentive to the Christian tradition, particularly in relation to the mystery of natality as it is manifested with the birth of Jesus in Christmas. I found especially interesting that a Jewish thinker reflects so thoughtfully on Christmas. I will first read a long passage from Hannah Arendt's book. The text may appear somewhat complex at first sight. After reading it, I will comment on it so that Hannah Arendt's message becomes clearer. Let us now read the text from pages 246 to 247 of this book. If left to themselves, human affairs can only follow the law of mortality, which is the most certain and the only reliable law of a life spent between birth and death. It is the faculty of action that interferes with this law because it interrupts the inexorable automatic course of daily life, which in its turn interrupted and interfered with the cycle of the biological life process. The lifespan of man running toward death would inevitably carry everything human to ruin and destruction if it were not for the faculty of interrupting it and beginning something new, a faculty which is inherent in action, like an ever-present reminder that men, though they must die, are not born in order to die but in order to begin. Yet just as, from the standpoint of nature, the rectilinear movement of man's lifespan between birth and death looks like a peculiar deviation from the common natural rule of cyclical movement, thus action, seen from the viewpoint of the automatic processes which seem to determine the course of the world, looks like a miracle. In the language of natural science, it is the infinite improbability which occurs regularly. Action is, in fact, the one miracle-working faculty of man, as Jesus of Nazareth, whose insights into this faculty can be compared in their originality and unprecedentedness with Socrates' insights into the possibilities of thought, must have known very well when he likened the power to forgive to the more general power of performing miracles, putting both on the same level and within the reach of man. The miracle that saves the world, the realm of human affairs, from its normal, natural ruin is ultimately the fact of natality, in which the faculty of action is ontologically rooted. It is, in other words, the birth of new men and the new beginning, the action they are capable of by virtue of being born. Only the full experience of this capacity can bestow upon human affairs faith and hope, those 2 essential characteristics of human existence which Greek antiquity ignored altogether, discounting the keeping of faith as a very uncommon and not too important virtue and counting hope among the evils of illusion in Pandora's box. It is this faith in and hope for the world that found perhaps its most glorious and most succinct expression in the few words with which the Gospels announce the glad tidings: "A child has been born unto us." In this passage, Hannah Arendt explains that if human life were left to itself, it would simply follow the law of mortality, the inevitable movement from birth toward death. For her teacher Martin Heidegger, this was in fact the central truth of existence. We are beings toward death. But Hannah Arendt gently resists this dark, heavy vision. She reminds us that human life cannot be reduced to decline, exhaustion, or the slow movement toward an end. Her alternative is what she calls natality, the astonishing fact that each newborn baby arrives in the world as a beginning. We are not only creatures who must die, we are beings who can begin. Every child born into the world interrupts the course of events towards death. Every new human life carries the possibility of the unexpected, the unplanned, the miraculous. Hannah Arendt sees action, the capacity to begin anew, as the most human and hopeful of our gifts. It breaks the automatic flow of routine. It disrupts cycles of resentment or despair. And it is this very power to start again, she says, that Jesus of Nazareth places at the center of his teaching when he speaks about forgiveness. To forgive is to let something new happen where everything seemed destined to desperation. It is, she writes, a kind of miracle, an infinite improbability which occurs regularly. Hannah Arendt says that the miracle that saves the world is the simplicity of natality. It is the simple, profound fact that new life continues to appear, life capable of newness, of possibility, of reconciliation, of hope. So Hannah Arendt endorses the miracle of natality. The core of her argument rests on the concept of natality. Natality as ontological rooting, The faculty of action is ontologically rooted in natality, meaning that the capacity to act is fundamentally tied to the fact that humans are born as new individuals. Every birth is a new beginning, a fresh start that brings a unique perspective and potential into the world. Natality as a way to save the world. Natality is the miracle that saves the world from the events which would bring otherwise to death. By acting, humans interrupt the inevitable slide towards collective death and decay, injecting new possibilities and preventing affairs from simply fading away. It is also interesting to note that, in her text, Hannah Arendt mentions the theological virtues of faith and hope. Let us read her passage again. Only the full experience of the capacity of action, by virtue of being born, can bestow upon human affairs faith and hope, those two essential characteristics of human existence which Greek antiquity ignored altogether, discounting the keeping of faith as a very uncommon and not too important virtue and counting hope among the evils of illusion in Pandora's box. It is this faith in and hope for the world that found perhaps its most glorious and most succinct expression in the few words with which the Gospels announce their glad tidings. A child has been born unto us. I have commented on the biblical notions of faith and hope in 2 YouTube videos. You can find the links in the description of this video. In addition, there is another theological virtue that Hannah Arendt does not mention, the virtue of love, understood through the Greek word pronounced as
Gapi.
Thus, in total, there are 3 theological virtues: faith, hope, and love or charity. Greek philosophical schools also made use of the notion of love, but they understood it through the Greek word eros or philia, not through the Greek word pronounced as
Gapi.
In fact, the latter Greek word is a distinctly Christian concept that expresses unconditional love, the love of God made manifest in the love of His Son. I also created a YouTube video for the biblical notion of this type of love. See link in the description of this video to watch this. For Christians, this resonates with a luminous clarity at Christmas. The Gospel announces its glad tidings with the simplest of sentences: a child has been born unto us. In that child, fragile and poor, God reveals that the deepest renewal of the world comes not through force or fear, but through the quiet arrival of new life. Christ's birth is, for Christians, the moment when God Himself begins something new in human history. Hannah Arendt, writing from outside the Christian faith but clearly captivated by its symbols, intuits this mystery, that hope enters the world in the form of a child. And she invites us to see every human beginning, every gesture of forgiveness, every act of reconciliation, every small new start, as participating in this same miracle. At Christmas, we remember that we are not destined merely to die. We are born so that something new may begin in us and through us. And every new beginning, however small, is a sign that the world is still capable of redemption.